In this video, we'll cover some basic context to the learning model we use, what categorical fields it draws upon, and how lessons are structured. We'll then look at some of the areas of the brain involved in learning and touch on how this is all relevant to supporting people designing products and services in closing the ethical intent to action gap. This lesson is designed to help you develop a basic understanding of the learning model we use and why and how it is related to closing the ethical intent to action gap. Then, as part of the social learning activities, we'll begin exploring how we can use this model to close the gap together. Now onto the high-level approach. So our model is not a completely new approach, but more of a hybrid. We're bringing together fields like instructional design, user experience design, behavior design, and down the track incorporating serious gaming. At a basic level, we use shorter cycles, usually referred to as chunking, and combine it with various activities that come immediately after you're exposed to new concepts. So this is distinct to the lessons you'll go through in a course like this one. But overall, the platform model incorporates both macro and micro learning, from learning new concepts all the way through to actually applying them. An example of micro in this case would be a lesson in a course on better disclosure through to a quick pairing activity with a designer and a data protection lawyer to bring new learnings to their workflows to redesign an online legal disclosure. Another is the interactions and conversations in the forums, which might involve learning in bursts, while the community challenges involve co-opetition, knowledge and skills application, and problem solving over longer durations. There's a little more to it than that, but let's jump into the structure of our model and leave some of this nuance for the forums. Let's move on to the basic lesson structure. So firstly, we cover new concepts. These are delivered in small chunks via videos like this, and later other multimedia and even games that involve scenarios and problem solving. Two, we reinforce. So after the concept, you immediately go to a reinforcement activity like a quiz or solving a puzzle. And this is primarily about memory and recognition of key aspects of a concept, but it also supports with moving from remembering to understanding. From there, you immediately go to a practical activity. This might involve answering a simple question as it relates to the work you do, quickly applying a new model or technique, or even sketching and writing things on paper. Tactile activities like the latter, the sketching on paper, support in building more neural connections, but all of it is intentional in design. Next, wiring, and this is little more than a simple 30 to 60-second activity that is designed to evoke an emotional response, particularly a positive one. This reinforces and supports the building of neural connections and memory encoding. And lastly, number 5, this part of the experience is designed to mimic the more natural way people learn. We're all social creatures. We learn best through connecting and interacting with each other and building shared context. All right, let's do a quick primer on the networks of learning. Don't stress, we won't be testing you on this one. So at a simple level, there are various networks in the brain involved in supporting people to learn. First up, we have affective networks. This is the why of learning. It's about engaging people and supporting them in maintaining momentum and motivation through the learning experience. We, and maybe you as a course creator, would consider things like the optimal level of challenge or difficulty to have, and how excited learners are in the topics and concepts covered in the learning experience. The next is recognition networks. This is the what of learning. Remembering comes before understanding. So ultimately, it's about memory, memorization, and building mental models. This is really about how people gather facts and organize information. It's what they see, what they hear, read, and interact with. And when designing learning experiences, we consider things like space and proximity, color, salience, and any tactile interactions that can support forming more nodes or neural connections in the network. And next up are strategic networks. And this is the how of learning. This is about getting into the planning or performing of key activities in the learning experience, be that in the platform or in people's professional context. So for this, we factor in how the learning experience is organized and its logical structure or flow, and importantly, activities that enable people to express their own ideas and make them relevant to the problems they need to solve. We'll dive deeper into all of this in other lessons and upcoming course on learning experience design. Before we wrap up, why is all this relevant to the problem we are solving with greater than learning? While we'll be continuously improving and refining the model, the purpose of greater than learning is to support individuals and decision makers that are designing products and services to close the ethical intent to action gap. To do this, people and decision makers need to develop new mindsets, skill sets, and toolkits. They need to navigate the complexity of the systems that constrain their behaviors and connect new and old approaches to new ways of learning and doing that support all of us in closing the ethical intent to action gap together.